And see, I think that would cut out. I think that would cut out a lot of it, because if they have to tell the truth, they wouldn't make us as angry, or vice versa. But it is a difficult time. And, you know, I think maybe bipartisanship might be important, but I also say to people, is this nation, a year ago, put in place who they wanted to run this country. And so we've got the power, and we need to use it.
Hi, my name is Kersey Phillips. I go to John F. Kennedy High School, and I just wanted to ask you, what did you enjoy the most about being a congresswoman?
What I enjoy the most? I tell people all the time the word enjoy really isn't an appropriate word. Well, I tell you what I have enjoyed the most. I have enjoyed learning so many things. I sit on the Science and Technology Committee. I know more science than I ever dreamed I would ever know. But what that has done is allowed me to protect things like NASA Glenn. It's allowed me to protect aerospace. I think the other thing I've learned, I also sit on education and labor. And we have done so many good things over this year. There are things that I never really thought about that people have issues with, or things that people need to see happen, because I'm not an educator. I got lots of friends who are, and they try to help me. Sometimes I just get on the phone and call them and say, could you tell me this? You know, I mean, to them it's very fundamental. To me, it's not. I have a love of learning. And anything that challenges me or anything new I can learn, I enjoy. And that's what I've enjoyed most. And I've also enjoyed meeting very, very bright people who have the same goals that I have, people who I work with every day. I think that's what I've enjoyed most.
I appreciate all the good work and the bills that have been passed, and trying to obtain better jobs and more jobs. I just would like to know how you intend to pay for the trillions of dollars of debt that the government is putting themselves into a situation that has to be paid within the next, well, I won't be alive for that. But
well, let me say it to you this way, and there are two answers to it. We're going to pay for it the same way we paid for war for 8 years. That was never budgeted. Never in the budget. Never in the budget once. We've at least put it in the budget now. So that has increased our numbers significantly, because we've decided to stop playing the budget game and put the cost of war in the budget so that everybody recognizes what it is. The other way that we're going to do it is the House passed what we call PAYGO, which means that, and it's called statutory PAYGO actually, what it means is that we are not going to pass any legislation unless we can determine how it's going to be paid for, which is something that actually was allowed to lapse under the last administration. We passed it. It's in the bill. But I agree with you. Debt is a problem. It's a huge problem in this country. But again, we are in a position where if we don't do some of the things we're doing, then we're never going to get out of the debt. We are hopeful that the president has said, over the next 6 years, we're going to reduce the national deficit by half. We are working at doing it. I don't know exactly all the details of how to do it, but what I do support is I support the administration and I support the president. If he says he can do it, I believe he can. And so I'm going to work in every way I know how to help do that. But yes, debt is a huge problem, but we know it is. The last time we had a balanced budget in this country was when Bill Clinton was the president. We're going back, and it was under his administration that statutory PAYGO came into effect. So we're trying to go back to what we know works. So we are indeed looking at the deficit, and we believe that the deficit is going to be reduced significantly by the end of this president's first term, and that's what we're working towards. And I thank you for your question.
Good afternoon, Madam Congresswoman. Question for you is, over the last 10 years, we have seen a population loss happen in the state of Ohio. We've also seen a brain drain happen in the state of Ohio. Can you let everyone know why it's important that the 2010 census is so important for this particular area, and also not only just the state of Ohio, but also for the city of Cleveland, and also for your congressional district as well?
Great question. Great question. First, it's important because if you didn't hear the question, he's talking about the importance of the census. There are a number of reasons why. Of course, federal funding is tied to population. So if we don't get an accurate count, then the money that goes to our schools is going to be reduced. The money that goes to our entitlement cities like Cleveland, East Cleveland, et cetera, will be reduced. I want everybody now to know that all the old myths that we heard about the census, none of those things are true. We live in a community right now where we have, just in small pockets, more than 17,000 vacant homes. Those people had to go somewhere, so some of them are living with Aunt Sally, some of them are living with Grandma, whatever it may be. But we need for everybody in that house to be counted. But what we have in our minds is that you can't tell people 10 people live in your house. Or we have in our mind that you can't say that there are this many children on public assistance in one house. We've got to get counted. None of that information is going any place but to the census. You have to get counted. If we don't get counted and our population continues to decline, then we're going to feel it in our pocketbooks. We're also going to feel it right now. We brought in $11 million just in COPS grants to the city of Cleveland. What happens if that count drops significantly? Cleveland's still going to need the COPS, but they're not going to get $11 million. Maybe they get 5. Maybe that's not enough. You have to get counted because every federal program, entitlement program, is tied to the census. The other thing that's going to happen is the state of Ohio is going to lose a congressional seat. So make sure you call the state and tell them it's not going to be mine. We're going to lose possibly 2. That's all about the census. So we have to make sure that we're counted. Thank you.
Congresswoman, I will call and make sure that it's not yours.
Thank you.
I wanted to first thank you for the work that you do, especially on health care, which is so critically important. And I wanted to ask you about a piece of it that had really been in the news, about how the Catholic bishops had been so involved in some of the final negotiations in the House, and what your thoughts were on that, and also how you bring your faith to this important work.
I try to take my faith every day. Sometimes it's harder than others, because sometimes it's hard to sit and listen to things that you know are just wrong. But that's what I do. I think that the Catholic bishops initially, from my understanding, were favorable to the language we had in the bill, which is the language we've always had, which is the Hyde Amendment language. We then found out subsequently that they were not. I try not to make decisions based upon what any one particular group of people thinks. I try to base a decision based upon what is best for the people I serve. This happens to be one of the most diverse districts in the United States. I have all faiths, all racial and ethnic groups. So I try to make a decision that is good for everyone. Now, as it relates to certain decisions we make, like the Hyde Amendment, it may not be good for me. But I can't say it's not something that's good for other people I serve. And this happens to be a community that is very supportive of the Hyde language. And so I'm going to represent the people I serve. It's not always my decision. Yes, sometimes we have to make decisions based upon our best information and knowledge, but the people I serve want that language, and that's the language I support for that reason.